So the case study that we are going to discuss today talks about the company Hans Grohe, which has a longer history of design and design innovation in the domain of showers and bathroom fittings, I would say. The company was founded at the turn of at the beginning of the 20th century in 1901 as a metal pressing firm. So I would say in a time where private bathrooms were a rarity for very few people, really a luxury, the founder of the company, Hans Grohe, understood that there was a potential that showers could represent a lower cost potential, and so this is where he focused. So this is how the company started making metal pressed shower heads, and ever since this I would say innovative and pioneering vision has characterized the companies until the present days. So today what we are going to discuss is Rainfinity, which is the new concept of showers, which combines the well-being effects of water with the digital world to create an experience which is repeated day after day. How did the company come to the development of the new product? Well, he came to this development by following a different technique for product innovation from what it's known. We know well that in product development there can be two main drivers, which are known and documented. One is the market pull, where basically the product is developed as a response of a precise request of needs by the consumer. The other one is the technology push, where we first develop the technology, the company first develops the technology, embeds it into a product and pushes it to the market and finds the consumer. Well, in design-driven innovation, the focus is completely different. So the question that is at the heart of the method is not what the customer needs or how the customer uses the products, but what does the product means to the people. So really the focus is to the needs of the consumer and what this object means to them. So there is a shift in the focus of the product development, which is reflected also in the methodology which is followed. And so the starting point for the development of this new product was the question, what showering means to people.
Okay, design is understood to mean not only the outside appearance of a product, but rather than an all-encompassing product philosophy. The starting point of the Rainfinity project was to find out what showering means to people. The concept of bathing and washing has been subject to a constant change over the time within the different cultural contexts. Initially, as we can see, washing was a part of personal hygiene, but nowadays showering is less and less about personal hygiene. In fact, the project mission, so the Rainfinity mission, unleash the vitalizing power of water using digital technology to create the most beautiful moment day after day. The DNA of this project was made up of three different elements. The first one was people, the second one was water, and the third one was smart technology. In fact, the aim of this mission was to improve, as we can see in this image, people everyday lives, with the power also of natural elements such as light and sound in order to stimulate and to enrich them.
What I will now take you through is how we actually came up with this whole experience that we call as the digital showering experience, the Rainfinity as well as the Rain Tunes. So here, as you heard Julia say, this is not something that was, we believe is something that is available today. We really needed to create something new. And here we realized that rather than start with the products and the technologies that we have today and then make people want them, we have to start with what the users want, what people want. And in that respect, I think the design thinking approach was something that came in very, very handy and useful in the overall experience for us. Now this approach focuses on the user, what they really want, and hence, as you can imagine, it's a lot of people centricity to this overall approach. So as you can see, this has 4 main elements. One is, of course, it is people centered, which means that you need to really empathize with your users, what their problems are, what their needs are. It is highly creative because once you've understood their problems and their needs, you really need to say, okay, how can I solve it? Rather than thinking what my product can do today, you need to see really how can I solve these problems, how can I achieve these needs. So therefore you need to look at multiple aspects of the entire problem. You need to work with a lot of people. So that's where it gets highly creative. It's very hands-on. It's not actually just thinking. It's a lot of designing that is involved here. So it's very hands-on. All your ideas are converted into hypotheses. They are converted into prototypes that are good enough to be tested. You discuss it with the users. You get the feedback and very iterative at the end, because it's not that it has to be a success day one. There is a lot of back and forth that happens, and you take the feedback, you involve it, and then you get it back running up and again. So it's a very iterative process. And in a nutshell, so it follows, it has 5 steps. It starts with an empathy. It then goes on to defining the problem. You then move on to ideating, prototyping and testing. So that's what the process is all about. And in our particular case, we actually has focused groups working on this. We partnered with experts, in this particular case, Phoenix designers, whom we have worked with in the past as well, to have the best team on board, to have different types of users. We sent out a lot of surveys to people to understand what showering is to them. Is it something which is indulgent? Is it a day-to-day routine that they just need to follow? Is it for hygiene? And considering all their feedback is when we started to identify what the different ideas could be. What is it? What problems are we trying to work on? And during this entire process, we actually had users test it along the way. So we had people go test and then gather what is it that needs to be changed. And we realized that for this to happen, we need a lot of partners on board. We need an ecosystem. So we needed this music that Julia mentioned about light. We needed fragrance, and for that we needed to have, it's not something that we have today. We needed to have partners on board. So this entire process helped us identify who those partners could be, what that ecosystem can be, and what is it that we can gain from the different types of experiences to probably come up with the product in this particular case. And hopefully that helps us move from showering from more of a health to more of a wellness thing. I mean, more from hygiene to health wellness. That's where we are aiming to move.
There are different styles of project management to finish projects in an efficient way. So now I'm going to focus in the traditional project management in the waterfall approach. In this approach, the project is divided in sequential stages and steps, and with expected delivery points. For instance, when you achieve a stage, you must follow the stages, and usually there is no way back. For instance, in this Rain Tune project, we can divide the project in 6 stages. One first stage where we are going to gather the requirements of the users. A second stage where we are going to design the systems that is going to allow us to fulfill those requirements. A third stage of implementation of that system design. A fourth stage of testing the implemented design. And fifth stage of deployment, and finally the maintenance of the product in the market. This approach has some advantages. It allows us to fix the time plan of the project and also the resources needed, so the cost. And also the traditional controlling can be applied. So this results in a safety, in a high level safety planning. However, it has some disadvantages. It's very rigid. It doesn't allow making modifications in the project, but it's not intended to do such modifications in the project. There is no also flexibility towards a changing environment. As Nika has told us, there are going to be many groups. They are going to participate in a project with different approaches. So sure that flexibility will be needed in this project. Parts of the project also cannot be aborted without termination of the full project, and delays and accelerations cannot be treated. Their plan is rigid, and they have to fulfill the fixed time.
Okay. Neha, I would like to have your English now on board. Okay. Well, what I will tell you is how design thinking would support us in the creation of new solutions that meet market requirements. Design thinking is a way to do things that has to be activated when the objectives are in a flow, when they are dynamic, when they potentially change over time, or even where there is the option or the danger of disruption of the objectives that have been in the focus in the past. So it's not more and not less than a new way of thinking. It's a continuous process that supports a business model throughout a market life of a product. When we come back to our example, the grow a shower experience, I mean, what we see now in the latest state of the design certainly is not the end stage, because in this example IP design thinking is applied, meaning that over time, when customer expectations or customer need undergo a change or even an extension, IP design will enable that the product is adapted in a permanent way to changing requirements and customer wishes. As you see here, there's a dynamic already built in, I'd say, in this picture, and this is what it is about. It's dynamic, starting with putting the customer needs and customer expectations, maybe even until now not so clearly expressed expectations, into the focus of the activities. So there's a lot about observing There's a lot about talking to customers, making investigations to understand what is really needed. We more than one time had the example of the car, and what was the next good example? Okay, let's leave it with the car. It's really a good one. People do not want to buy. Oh, the other one was a washing machine. Yeah, that was also another good example. People do not want to buy washing machines, to own washing machines, to reserve a space for the washing machines, to have all the noise of the washing machines. They want clean clothes. With the car, the same. People do not want to buy a car that needs a parking space, that needs to be fueled and battery loaded and repaired and maintained. No, they want to go from A to B frequently, less frequently. This is what they want by either means. So they want mobility, not 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, 2 cylinders, 4 cylinders, leather seats. They want to go from A to B. So, and understanding what is the need behind is driving then this engine. And as you see, this is the dynamic in it. It starts with observer and understanding, then continues in developing a strategy how to meet these understood needs, and then go to make synthetic inventions, meaning a combination of physical and digital solutions that enable the meeting of the needs of the customer. And then the circle is not ended here. It continues to securing the position, meaning by means of IP, and here specifically, because we are talking about IP design in context with the digital revolution, Industry 4.0, is about securing position by digital patents, by patents that secure this, also the basic idea behind and the algorithms that enable the solution for the customer. And this seems to be the end here, but it's not true. As I said earlier, it's a continuous cycle. So once we are here and have secured our position, we again go and do that even in parallel, out and back, to observe, understand, because the customer expectations and needs might have changed as the world is changing in total all the time. So this is a permanent cycle, yeah. And this is the magic about this way of thinking. It's not a method, it's not a process, it's a mindset, I'd say. Yeah, and what is important is that this mindset, this way of thinking, is projecting future needs. So there have to be, it's also a question of people who are involved into this process. They have to be really able and be enabled to look beyond what we see today, to protect future solutions, and also identifying what I would call digital nightmares. That means solution that would disrupt the whole solution that was basis of the product variety, that is basis of the business, by just a change in the basis. So even these disruptive elements have to be identified, and with digital patents, once the disruption cause is a digital issue, also these nightmares can be protected. Of course, not to use it, but to disable other market participants in applying for a patent. And having said that, this way of thinking, different to a waterfall development or a mere project organization, really reflects the changing world, the dynamics that is everywhere, and thus may protect a business for a rather long time. Thank you.